$1.9 million. That's the number you need to break into the upper class in 2026. But here's the real question. Are you truly upper class, or are you just living a lifestyle that looks rich? You might have a comfortable house, a nice car, maybe even a vacation fund, but that doesn't automatically put you in the top tier of wealth. If you've ever wondered if you're really there, this video will give you the hard data to answer that question. No fluff, no opinions, just the numbers. I'm about to break down the exact net worth benchmarks that define the classes in 2026 and reveal why having $1 million today doesn't mean what it used to. So stick around to uncover what makes someone truly wealthy in 2026, the surprising truth about who actually makes it to the upper class, and exactly how you compare to the top earners. Get ready to see the numbers and the realities that you probably didn't expect. Let's dive in. To be considered in the top 10% of American households in 2026, you need a net worth of $1.9 million. But what does that actually mean in the context of today's wealth distribution? It's a lot more than just having a few assets or a decent savings account. The $1.9 million mark is the official line that separates the upper class from the rest. It's where you've reached a level of financial security and abundance that very few people in America can claim. But just having $1.9 million doesn't automatically make you feel like you've crossed some significant line. In fact, this threshold isn't even considered wealthy by many people's standards. Let's break it down. According to a survey by Charles Schwab, most Americans believe you need $2.5 million to be considered wealthy. So if you have $1.9 million, you're technically in the top 10%, but public perception says that even that is just comfortable, not wealthy. This creates a huge gap between what people think it takes to be rich and the reality of the numbers. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The median net worth in America is just $192,000. That's the middle point. Half of all American households have less than that. But the average net worth, which includes the ultra-wealthy, is over $1 million. This is why the average net worth can be so misleading. It's like saying the average person in a room with Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. Statistically true, but practically irrelevant. Now let's look at the breakdown by percentile to see where you really stand. Top 25%, $658,000. This means you're doing better than 3 out of 4 Americans. You're not upper class yet, but you're certainly ahead of most. Top 20%, $891,000. Almost a millionaire. This is a solid financial position, but not quite the luxury lifestyle. Top 10%, $1.9 million. You've crossed into the upper class. Welcome to the top 10%. Top 5%, $3.7 million. This is where real wealth begins. You're looking at multiple paid-off properties and investments that generate serious income. Top 1%, $13.6 million. Now we're talking about serious wealth. This is where the truly elite sit. And top 0.1%, $61 million. This level represents generational wealth. Your money makes money that could sustain you and future generations indefinitely. As you can see, the gaps between these thresholds are massive, and hitting the top percentiles takes more than just a good income. It requires disciplined saving, investing, and often a lot of time. You might be earning a high salary, but that doesn't automatically place you in the upper class. Here's the thing. Income alone doesn't define your financial standing. It's not just about how much you bring in every year. It's about how much you keep, save, and grow over time. Income is a flow. Money comes in, but how much of it stays? Net worth, on the other hand, measures what stays. It's the accumulation of your assets, the value of your investments, the money you've set aside and allowed to grow. Net worth is a much clearer picture of where you truly stand financially, not just how much you're pulling in each year. Now let's talk about geography, because where you live can drastically change the financial game. Take Connecticut, for example. To be in the top 1% of earners there, you need to make over $1 million annually. That's the kind of threshold that places you at the absolute top of the income ladder in that state.
But if you head down to West Virginia, the top 1% starts at $416,000. That's a difference of over $500,000. That's the kind of gap you face depending on where you live. The cost of living, local economy, and even regional wealth distribution have a massive impact on what it takes to be considered upper class. And this isn't just about states. Cities also have their own set of rules. In places like San Francisco, you need nearly $1 million to crack the top 5% of earners. But in Detroit, the threshold for the same percentile is just $253,000. That's a huge difference with the same percentage of income earners. These numbers show how geography can drastically alter what it takes to be considered wealthy. What might feel like middle class in one city could be considered upper class in another. Let's take Sunnyvale, California as an example. Even if you're earning $340,000 in that area, you could still be considered middle class due to the extremely high cost of living, the housing market, the overall prices of goods and services, and the area's general wealth distribution push the goalposts so far that a six-figure income doesn't even secure a spot in the upper echelons of the financial ladder. It's a harsh reality, but it's one that's true for a lot of high-cost cities across the country. In 2026, there are 23.8 million millionaires in America. That's a huge number, but don't let that fool you. The threshold for millionaire status keeps shifting. $1 million isn't what it used to be. In fact, having $1 million today only puts you in the top 12 to 15% of households. This means that millionaires are becoming more common, and the real wealth is now in the $10 million range. If you want to get into the true top 1% of wealth, you'll need much more than just 7 figures. The goalposts have moved, and while $1 million used to be the gold standard, it's now just the beginning. Now let's talk about the typical millionaire. The average millionaire is 61 years old, and 2/3 of them are between the ages of 60 and 79. This should give you some perspective if you're younger and haven't hit that $1 million mark just yet. It's statistically normal to not have reached that milestone just yet. But if you're 60 and haven't reached it, you're running out of time. Building wealth takes decades of saving, investing, and consistently putting money aside to grow. If you're still far from that $1 million mark at an older age, it's definitely time to reevaluate your strategy. Here's a surprising fact. 79% of millionaires are self-made. They didn't inherit their wealth or get a windfall. They built their wealth through hard work, discipline, and smart financial decisions. And what's even more interesting is that their careers aren't glamorous or flashy. You won't see many millionaires in this group who made their fortunes by becoming celebrities or starting tech companies. The majority are engineers, accountants, teachers, attorneys, solid, reliable professions that don't get as much attention but offer consistent opportunities to build wealth over time. The racial wealth gap in America is staggering, and the numbers don't lie. White families have a median net worth of $285,000 compared to just $44,000 for black families and $62,000 for Hispanic families. This massive disparity is a result of generations of unequal access to wealth-building opportunities, from home ownership to education to employment. The wealth gap isn't just an issue today, it's deeply rooted in the country's history, affecting family legacies and financial security for entire communities. The gap is real, and it's generational, meaning it compounds over time, with wealth being passed down more easily in some families than others. This is why the road to financial equality is so much harder for certain groups, despite equal work and equal opportunity being the standard. Then there's the generational wealth factor. Boomers, who are now in their retirement years, hold 61.7% of all U.S. wealth. Meanwhile, millennials, the largest generation in America today, hold only 9.8% of the nation's wealth. That's a huge difference, and it shows just how much wealth has been passed down to older generations, often leaving millennials struggling to catch up. But there is hope for younger generations. Millennials' wealth has been growing faster than ever, with a 13% increase in 2024 alone. It's clear that while it's been a tough battle for millennials to build their wealth, they're starting to close the gap, and their financial future is looking brighter as they take on more opportunities for investment and savings.
However, the reality is that even with rapid growth, millennials still have a long way to go to match the wealth accumulated by their baby boomer predecessors. When we talk about net worth, we're really talking about how much financial freedom that wealth can buy you. It's not just about having a pile of cash or assets. It's about how much income your wealth generates passively, year after year, without you having to lift a finger. Here's a breakdown of what different net worth levels could translate into as passive income. If you have $1 million, you can expect to earn about $40,000 per year in passive income. This might sound good, but in reality, it's a lean retirement. You're not living large, but you can survive comfortably in a lower-cost area. For some, this might be enough to cover basic living expenses without working, but it's definitely not extravagant. With $2 million, that passive income increases to around $80,000 a year. Now you're talking about a more comfortable retirement. You can live well, but you're still watching the budget, perhaps making adjustments for vacations or luxury items. You're no longer stressing about paying bills, but you're not living like a high roller either. At $5 million, your passive income shoots up to $200,000 annually. Now you're living an upper-middle-class lifestyle without ever working again. You've reached a place where money is coming in consistently and comfortably. Your investments and savings generate enough to maintain a high quality of life, but it's still not in the luxurious category. With $10 million, you're looking at $400,000 per year in passive income. This is the kind of money that places you in the top 1% of earners, and it's all coming from your investments. At this level, you don't need to work anymore unless you want to. You can afford to live in luxury, travel, and enjoy the finer things in life, all funded by the money your assets generate. Finally, if you have $25 million, your passive income can easily reach $1 million per year. This is true financial independence. Your money is working harder than any job ever could. You can afford to anything you want without having to worry about income because your investments are generating enough to live an ultra-wealthy lifestyle year after year. Financial independence isn't a dream, it's your reality. As you can see, your net worth determines not just how much you can spend, but how much freedom you have in your day-to-day life. The more you have, the less you need to work, and the more you can enjoy life without constantly worrying about money. There's an interesting connection between money and happiness. Research has shown that happiness tends to rise as income climbs, especially up to a point. For most people, as their income climbs, so does their overall satisfaction with life. Studies indicate that happiness increases with income all the way up to about $500,000 a year. Beyond that, the improvements in happiness tend to level off. But here's the surprising part. For the unhappiest 15 to 20% of people, money stops improving their well-being once they hit $100,000 a year. So, if you're already generally happy, more wealth can definitely enhance that happiness. But if you're unhappy, no amount of money is likely to fix it. It's a stark reminder that money plays a role, but it's not the sole determinant of how content we are with our lives. But here's the kicker. Despite having millions, many people still don't feel rich. In fact, 36% of American millionaires don't even consider themselves wealthy. It seems counterintuitive, right? But it's true, and it all comes down to lifestyle inflation. People get used to higher spending as their income grows. They constantly compare themselves to others who are wealthier, rather than looking at those who are less fortunate. This comparison game keeps moving the goalposts further and further. What once seemed like a comfortable lifestyle becomes just okay as they keep reaching for more. It's the mindset of always wanting the next thing, which can make even those with significant wealth feel like they don't have enough. In 2026, a net worth of $1.9 million is the official threshold for being considered upper class. But here's the reality. It's not just about earning a high salary or inheriting wealth. The key to reaching that level of financial security is consistency. It's about earning steadily, saving diligently, investing wisely, and letting time do its work. The formula for wealth hasn't changed. It's simple. Earn, save, invest, and wait.
It might take years, even decades, but if you follow this path, your financial future can be transformed. If this video helped you understand where you stand financially, hit that subscribe button. I dive deep into the systems, the math, and the wealth-building strategies they don't teach you in school. If you're brave enough, drop your net worth percentile in the comments. Let's see where you rank. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.